Today, I want to share with you one data repository students could use to grab datasets on species, Arctos. Arctos is a collection management information system that is community-driven, and it boasts over 3 million records with a large variety of data available on species from natural history collections. In an age where data is continually generated every day, it makes sense to use the data in our instruction and have students get their feet wet working with these large and often incomplete datasets. So what I'll be doing here on screen is walking through how to select and download data, meager attempts at cleaning up the data, and then running through some quick stats on the data that I was able to harvest. Let's dive in. So the first thing that we're going to notice is that we have access to a lot of databases from all around the US, as well as a few other places outside of that, that we can select from. I'm just going to end up selecting all, and then for the purpose of our study here, we're going to look at, yes, the American pika. That's the perfect choice. So you can type in the species name, you can also type in the common name, and as you'll see, there's a lot of other things that we could look for as well. It really gives you a large variety of specification. And I'm going to use this map tool so that we can only look in a certain area if we want. For me, I'm just going to shore this up to the actual geographic range of the pika, which I believe is somewhere around there in the American West and Northwest. And again, there's a lot of other information here like relationships, but we're not going to look too much into that right now because I just want to show the simplest use of Arctos possible. Alright, so here is a map populated with all the data in their area of origin. This is pretty good for giving us an idea of species range, but because of this is collection data, we can't really tell the size of that population. So again, it is somewhat limited in our interpretation. The data set that you get here, however, is quite large with a lot of good metadata added to it. However, we're going to select a few different ideas that we like, that we might want to analyze later. So, for example, what a student might do is they might start selecting things like sex, and then maybe weight, and then we might try to even find age. So what we can do with this data is we might do a quick analysis to see if there's any sexual dimorphism in the American pika. And then we can use age to control this variable so that we're not comparing adults to babies. Okay, so after you get that, you'll notice that some of that data is missing, but we'll have to deal with that later. Go ahead and click download, and then always make sure that you say it's educational. You get away with everything that way, and I think everything is educational. So let's take a look at what this data set looks like, and then clean it up from there. Okay, so here's our huge data set. I'm going to be cleaning it here in the background, getting rid of all the data that I'm going to find unuseful for the analysis that I'm looking for. And we're going to talk about the biggest weakness now of using Arctos as a database. And that is, as you can see here on the screen, the data set is so incomplete. We're sorting just now by sex. And so while we have over 5,000 records, for example, here we can see that we have a bunch of non-singular female entries, and that's just not going to be useful for us. And then as we scroll down, we're going to find a lot of unknown or individuals that are even not recorded for their sex. And so this is something that you'll find pretty common, that you'll end up cutting down quite a bit of your data when you end up cleaning it. I don't think that this is necessarily a huge problem though, as it will give students an opportunity to work with large data sets that are incomplete, that they get to work on these data handling skills to make decisions on what to include and what shouldn't be included. One of the other things that you'll see with this data set is I've selected age as one of my criteria, and we have absolutely zero data on that with this particular data set. And again, this is not uncommon, but it does mean that we're going to have to be more careful about our analysis at the end. Again, both a weakness and I think an opportunity for students to practice thinking more critically about the data that they're using. And was the data complete, at least as far as I can get it, we're going to do some data visualization and statistics on this information to see if there is a difference in body weight between males and females of the American pika. This is one of the greatest opportunities that Arctos can afford us, in that in the typical scenario for labs and other activities in science, we don't have the opportunity to generate large data sets and have our students wrestle with, again, these large data sets that are often incomplete. And so here we can take a look and we see that we get that nice p-value, although it's very close given the affordances that we have using this data. Once we check out the data visualization, we're going to see it's actually not that large of a difference anyhow, and it's actually in the opposite direction than one might expect. Nonetheless, this is something that students could be doing and asking questions of their own and just playing around with the large datasets that are available to us in our classes. So let's wrap up. So, to recap, today I shared Arctos, an online database of digitized natural history collections. The chief strengths of Arctos is that it offers a huge database of information of thousands of species that offers sufficiently large datasets for students to work with, struggle with, and ask questions from. The weakness is that these datasets are a double-edged sword, and that they are often incomplete and can leave you with low confidence in your data analysis at the end of the day. For those that just want a dataset ready to go, you'll find that you're spending just as much time cleaning your data than you are analyzing and preparing the data for visualization. I think this sets us up with a great opportunity as students can learn these data handling skills that we often don't teach, though many will end up having to juggle large datasets in their future. So I believe this sets us up for an authentic learning opportunity that we may not typically see in an undergraduate experience due to the lack of large data in undergraduate laboratories. Finally, as for the threats or obstacles, while Arctos is a great tool, you may find yourself having difficulty deciding where it fits into your curriculum. Without the inclusion of data literacy objectives, I think many will find it difficult to make space for this in their course. However, to help remedy that, one group I suggest you check out is the BLUE Network, which stands for Biodiversity Literacy for Undergraduate Education. They've been recently, as of last year, adding new modules that use these large open datasets and infuse them with data literacy standards. That's all for me, and I hope you learned something about online digitized natural history collections and how they might be useful in the classroom.